Hello everybody, this is Big Boss Calvin 83. Today I'm going to discuss a touchy subject. It may piss people off, and I have pissed people off, and I don't give a damn. But it has to be said, if you look at my channel description, I talk about particularly men's issues, but at times I talk about race issues. In terms of racism that people of color experience, and particularly men of color like myself experience, and other social issues. So let me say this to people who claim to be who claim and are sincere, who claim to be against racism and are not racist, and is against Caucasian supremacy, and those two other non-Caucasians who claim to be not prejudiced, but claim not to be prejudiced and don't like, and claim to respect so-called black people, and is not prejudiced and don't hate us. And same to as you Caucasians who some of y'all who claim to not be racist. If it doesn't apply to you, you should not be offended. If you're not racist, if you're not prejudiced, so you should not have an issue with me discussing this subject. You understand what I'm saying? So if it doesn't apply, do not respond, do not reply, and let it fly. And I'll say it again, if it doesn't apply to you, don't reply and let it fly. But if it does apply to you, then you are guilty as charged. And this is to you, handkerchief head, Sambo, Negro Pen coon motherfuckers, Negro Pens. I am so fucking sick and tired of every time we within the so-called black community, we as so-called black people, Nubian people, people of color, whatever term you want to identify with, I'm so sick and fucking tired every time we experience racism, and when we get killed, and when we get harmed and killed by a person who's so-called non-black, we always throw off the term black on black crime. Every time I hear that, especially coming from so-called other black people, other so-called black people, every time I hear that phrase, I want to just jump out and just do a drop kick, a Liu Kang drop kick from Mortal Kombat. I just want to drop kick you, dumbass, because you obviously a self-hating, bushy-ass, Negro Pen, coon, handkerchief head, bitch of a bastard. To say something that ignorant, to say every time we get killed by a racist Caucasian cop, or we get harmed and killed by racist Caucasian people, then not only that, then we got to deal with prejudice from other groups who do harm to us and try to kill us too. I'm so sick and tired of hearing, well, what about black on black crime? When I hear a Caucasian person, when I hear a Hispanic person, Latino person, an Asian, an East Indian, an Arab person, and a Middle Eastern person, and other so-called non-blacks use that term, what about black and black crime? I already know you're a racist. Yes, you are a racist, you are prejudiced. I already know you don't like me, and you do not like my people. And when I hear a so-called black person say that shit to me, or anybody, when we talk about racism and prejudice, and us being victims of racism and prejudice and hate, every time I hear another so-called black person say the term, what about black on black crime? I already know that you're a fucking Negro Pen coon. I already know that you're a sellout, you're a house nigger, you're a handkerchief head Negro Pen. First of all, people, if you look up the statistics I'm actually talking about doing your fucking research. There's more Caucasian on Caucasian crime. Basically, so basically, I'm going to say it like this. There's a lot of white on white crime. But every time, let's just say, every time a non-Caucasian person harms and kills a Caucasian person, we never throw up in their face that, what about white on white crime? You don't hear that shit. If an Asian person is harmed by, let's just say they get harmed by the cops, or get harmed by a Caucasian supremacist, a racist, or any non-Asian person, it's usually not us. We don't victimize. Black people, so-called black people, do not victimize other people. We are the most victimized, most terrorized, most bullied people on the fucking planet. When when an Asian person is harmed and killed, especially by a Caucasian cop, you don't hear Caucasian people say, what about Asian on Asian crime? You don't hear that shit. You don't hear, when something happens to an Asian person, you don't hear the term, well, what about Asian on Asian crime? When something happens to a Mexican person and another Latino descent person, you don't hear the term, you never hear the term, what happened to a Latino on Latino crime? Same with a Middle Eastern person who experiences racism, hate, and gets harmed and killed by hate groups. You don't hear, well, what about an Arab crime? But when it comes to us, as black people, like, since we like to call ourselves black, even though it's a negative connotation, since we like to call ourselves black people, every time something happens to us, everybody wants to bring up the term, what about black and black crime? And it's really more hurtful when it comes from another so-called black person. Well, what about the term black and black crime? Well, I'm like, fuck that. Stop giving these racist pieces of shit motherfuckers a fucking white pass. A white pussy pass. Stop giving these racist, these particularly racist Caucasians and these prejudiced non-Caucasians a fucking white supremacist pass for harming us and killing us. First of all, do your research. Crime, there's so-called white on white crime, there's Latino on Latino crime, there's Asian on Asian crime, and there's Arab on Arab crime that happens. And there's crime on within every. First of all, you gotta understand, in every community, most people don't live in a mixed community. There's a Caucasian community, there's a Asian community, there's a Hispanic and Latino community, and then there's the so-called black community. Everybody lives within their own racial group of a community. We are not a melting pot. Excuse me. Most of us stay within our group. We stay to ourselves, and we're forced to. That's how segregated America is. Okay? There's white on white crime that happens every goddamn day. But if a so-called black person harms and kills a Caucasian person, do you know what happens to that motherfucker who harms the Caucasian person? Nobody brings up the term, well, what about white on white crime? No. That black person, or that black, since y'all want to talk about so-called black racists, which there's no such thing as a black racist, but let's go with that. If that happens, what do you think happens to that so-called black racist? That black racist goes to fucking jail. Every time, if a non-Caucasian person harms a Caucasian person, rather be black, Latino, Asian, Middle Eastern, we go to jail. We pay for the fucking crime. But when you racist Caucasian people, mainly, and especially you cops, harm people of color, rape, pillage, and maim and murder us all the damn time. Every time we confront you with your hatred and your racism and your bigotry and you just being just evil, we hold you accountable, you want to throw up black on black crime. That is the most, that shows you how insensitive and racist people are against us, so-called black people. Wake the fuck up. First of all, the reason why black people do not get upset when a so-called black person kills another black person is because they go to jail all the time. But when a non-black person kills a black person, y'all don't go to jail. It doesn't matter if the person's mainly a racist Caucasian or a prejudiced Latino person who killed a black person, and a prejudiced Asian person who don't like black people, a prejudiced Middle Eastern person who doesn't like black people. Y'all don't go to jail. Every time somebody lays hands on us, attacks us, tries to harm us, actually harms us and kills us, they get off. Especially if they're a cop. Every time a racist, crooked cop kills a so-called black person, no, they don't go to jail, especially if they're non-black. But if a so-called black cop kills a Caucasian person, kills a person of a different ethnicity than they are, we go to jail and we do life in prison, or we get the fucking electric chair. But if a racist cop kills us and we confront you and hold you accountable, oh, you want to throw it in our fucking face. What about black and black crime? First of all, what about white on white crime? If we would have harmed and killed y'all motherfuckers, or do anything to you, or rape your women, how would you feel, Caucasian people, and the rest of you non-blacks? How would you feel if a so-called black person, particularly a black man, killed your people, raped your women, and killed your children? And how would you like it, especially you Caucasian people, since you created the hatred, you told everybody not to like us, so I gotta hold you accountable. Yeah, y'all had something to do with it. Because y'all taught to hate us at an early age, and that hatred started from slavery, Jim Crow, into present. Y'all haven't changed. Y'all just closet racist. Y'all just like to grin and smile on our fucking faces and then do harm to us and fuck us over. Systematic racism is fucking real. It is. It's real. Being called a cracker, I wouldn't call you a cracker because it don't have no meaning to it. Does not have an effect does not have the same fucking effect as the term nigger. Nigger, being called a nigger, that word has got us lynched. Excuse me, got us lynched, got us beaten, got us killed, got us raped, and every inhumane treatment you can think of that has happened to so-called black people. And being discriminated based on the color of our skin, being denied a job, being denied to have an opportunity to have a good education, being denied housing, being turned down for a loan, being redlined out of certain neighborhoods, being profiled. That's systematic racism. You Caucasian people and even you other groups who experience racism to a certain degree, but y'all experience more prejudice than racism. Y'all don't go through racism like Nubian people go through, like black people go through. So-called black people go through so much racism and hatred and evil from everybody, not just racist Caucasian people, but other groups as well. And I'm tired of dealing with that shit. And you wonder why I'm so hateful. Well, I'm not a hateful person. I just hate racism and Caucasian supremacy and fucking prejudice and fucking bigotry. I'm always attacked with on a daily basis, and my people always got to suffer, especially so-called black men. Not only got to deal with racism, but we got to deal with misandry due to feminism. Feminism is another form of Caucasian supremacy, but nobody wants to talk about that shit. And then you got gay people attacking us who are anti-heterosexual anti-heterosexual male, and especially anti-heterosexual black male. The only reason why black people don't get upset with black on black crime when a black person kills another black person, it's because they go to fucking jail. But when a racist Caucasian person, mainly, and other groups do harm to us and kill us, especially cops, and or military or federal agents do harm to us, or just a lynch mob do harm to us, the reason why we get upset, because you motherfuckers get the fuck off. We don't get no fucking justice. We don't get no damn justice. You motherfuckers get away with fucking murder all the goddamn time. Every time you lay your hands on us, every time you kill us, you get off. That's why we get upset. How would you feel if the shoe was on the other foot? Why don't you walk in a so-called black person's shoes sometime? Instead of assuming. The reason why there's a Black Lives Matter came on the scene is because somebody got sick and tired. A so-called black person got sick and tired of us getting lynched, getting harmed, and yeah, it happens. Got sick and tired of modern day lynchings, of us being killed by these racist groups and these crooked cops that always do harm to us and kill us, and they always get away with it by this racist Caucasian supremacist system. That's systematic racism. We're sick and tired of being victims of systematic racism, y'all. That's the issue. You know, there's white on white crime that nobody talks about. There's Asian on Asian crime that nobody talks about, and there's Latino on Latino crime that happens all the damn time, and Middle Eastern on Middle Eastern crime that happens. Crime and every racial groups, we attack each other and kill each other. That's how it is. I don't know why that happens. I mean, when you live around, if you deal with somebody who lives in the same, in any ethnic community, we live within each other. So, what happens is, because of that shit, you're going to have problems, you're going to have confrontations, and you're going to have issues. That's what happens. You have infighting. Caucasian people kill each other all the goddamn time. But nobody, when you cry injustice, everybody listens to you. Everybody has sympathy and compassion for you. But when you victimize people of color, not just black people, but other groups who are non-Caucasian, oh, you want to come up with denial, white denial. I hate that shit. You make excuses. You rationalize hatred and racism, and that makes you a racist. You know what I'm saying? I'm tired of this shit. Every time a black person experiences hatred and racism from other groups, we always get thrown with black on black crime. There's always a denial and never so dismissive of our pain and sufferings. How would you feel to Caucasian people how would you feel if a black man raped a Caucasian woman? How would you feel? And we said, well, and somebody said, well, what about white on white crime? Well, you raped our women for 400 years. How would you feel? You would be like, what the fuck? That's how it is when you say black on black crime to us. Because when y'all do something to us, you get away with it. That's how I always said, we cannot be racist against you. The only thing we can be is react to the racism and hatred by being angry. That's it. Calling y'all cracker don't do nothing, because I still gotta work for you. I still gotta obey by your system, play by your rules, and if I don't, I'll be dead or in jail. I have to do all that shit. You know, the reason why, like I said before, I'm tired of you coons co-signing this black on black crime bullshit. The reason why black people are not upset with other black people killing each other, because they usually go to jail. When Caucasians kill each other, they go to jail. But if a black person particularly kills a Caucasian person, they go to jail. But if a Caucasian person kills a black person or lies on a black person, false accusation of abuse, terroristic threat, rape, we go to jail. But if we accuse a Caucasian person of doing us wrong or doing harm to us, y'all don't do shit. The racist Caucasian people within government, particularly the police and the judge, don't give a shit. They throw the case out. Caucasian people could do whatever they want to us and harm us and victimize the fuck out of us and get away with it. That's why we upset. That's why black people like myself are upset at this bullshit, this racist bullshit. When a Caucasian person, particularly a cop, kills a black man, reason why there's an uproar because you motherfuckers don't go to jail. You don't get time in prison. You get and if you do get time, jail time, you get a slap on the wrist. But if I guarantee you, if a black person kills an unarmed Caucasian person, he goes to jail. Even if the Caucasian man or female is armed with a gun and shoots at them, if we kill them too many times, if the so-called black cop shoots at them one too many times and kills them, oh, we go to jail because that's excessive. I'm tired of this racist double standards. I'm tired of it. It's bullshit. All I'm going to say is that's why we get upset. And I'm tired of you Negro peeing ass coons co-sign this bullshit, black on black crime. When crime in every ethnic community, every different racial group, so-called racial group, crime happens with it. There's always infighting within each other. With every racial community, there's always infighting. There's white on white crime, there's Latino on Latino crime, and there's Asian on Asian crime, and Arab on Arab crime. That happens. But every time a Caucasian person does something to us, as people of color as a whole, they get away with the shit. But if we do something to them, we get punished. There's no justice. So there's no justice, no peace. That's what we're upset about. I mean, it's like, then you racist motherfuckers want to justify and defend your racism. And blame the victim. When a cop kills a black person, oh, y'all come up with these excuses and defend the cop. But if a cop actually reports a crooked racist cop, when that cop gets deference from the police department that they work for, y'all don't say police lives matter. Oh, but when a black person is killed by a racist cop, a crooked cop, I should say, that doesn't like black people in particular, oh, you'll say police lives matter and you co-sign. But if a cop reports a racist, a cop being crooked and doing dirty shit, and they get death threats and from the police department and from the colleagues, y'all don't say police lives matter. But when it comes to but you know, y'all, I know what you're on, okay? When I know I'm over the place in this video, but I gotta say it like this. The reason why black people do not get upset when you have black on black crime is because a black person will go to jail for killing another black person. But if a Caucasian person or non-black person kills a black person, y'all don't get no time in jail. Y'all get the fuck off or you get a light slap on the wrist. I'm tired of these other racist groups feeling that, and these racist and prejudiced groups thinking that they can do whatever they want to me and get away with it. That's why we hate y'all. That's why you got some so-called black people who do not like so-called white people and other groups, and that's why they don't want to have nothing to do with y'all, is because of shit like this, because of your racist insensitivity. All I want to say is this: we're just tired of the injustice. People like myself is tired of the injustice. Then people want to use the argument, "Whoa, you tear up your own community." Well, no. That's another excuse to justify racism. Because within businesses within the black community is non-black owned. We don't own anything, nor control anything. You know, we riot because of injustice, because of stuff that matters. Caucasian people riot over over a football game, a basketball game, rather the team lost or won the championship. They riot, or if the team loses, they have a hissy fit. Who's being petty? Also, I want to say this: crime within every community is intraracial, not interracial, but it's mostly intraracial. Stop, G people out there. Stop. This is why This is why the so-called Black Lives Matter movement came. Because our lives obviously don't matter. If all lives mattered, then we as the people, particularly people of color, would not be profiled, would not be afraid of being lied on by somebody, and be modern day lynched by a lynch mob, and killed, and raped even by these other hate groups. But nobody wants to talk about that. But everyone wants to be so dismissive of our pain and suffering, but yet have the audacity to want us to have love and compassion for them. I'm really tired of the imbalance. I'm going to say it like this: if we're not going to get justice, if the cops are not going to do their job in protecting all people and being fair, if the government is not going to be fair, and the powers that are not going to be, it's not going to treat us equal. I know the powers that be are not going to treat us equal and see us as human, because they see everybody, no matter what skin color you are, as a slave. But we have all this division. Even though so-called black people didn't start the division, reacting to injustice is not causing division. I'm going to be 33 years old in June. How long has racism been going? We didn't start the division. You already know which group, or I should say groups, started the division. And it's not us. All I'm going to say is this to my people: you're going to have to learn how to defend yourselves. We have to learn how to one thing we do have to work on is stop the self-hate. Stop disrespecting each other and stop killing each other over petty shit. Even though it's okay for everybody else to have intra-racial crime and kill each other on petty shit, but we can't do that. I'm not saying you should kill anybody or harm anybody, but people of color, you see that we're the most disliked, hated group on the planet, and we need to respect each other and love each other and stop that infighting within each other, because this is what we're up against. Right here. We need to stand together. And to people who are, you know who you are, who are non-racist, y'all need to call this shit out. And you need to show yourselves and call this BS within your group of people who are racist. It's time to stop. It's time to start doing and stop talking. I got a video clip that you guys should watch. Y'all have a good night. Peace. We should love each other and respect each other and see each other as human. It's time to start doing that. I'm out.
So I got into a debate today with somebody over All Lives Matter versus Black Lives Matter. I've spoken on this before, but I'm going to go ahead and break this down a little bit further. First, I want to say two things, though. Number one, sad enough in this country, it seems that people lack the intellectual maturity to listen to other people's opinions, because they're more convinced and more worried about trying to convince somebody else that their opinion is the only opinion and that their opinion is correct, that they do not have the ability to sit back objectively and consider other people's opinion. Now, me, I might not like your opinion, I might not agree with your opinion, but I would respect your opinion and I fight to the death for your right to have it. I guess that's just the intellectual maturity that I have. Number two, me personally, I believe in one race, the human race. I don't look at people and say, okay, you're black, you're white, you're Asian, Latino, Native American, Muslim, so on and so forth. I look at people as people. I believe in the Homo sapien race, the human race. But I'm also not going to be ignorant and closed-minded enough to sit here and negate the fact that there are people that view things differently. That's their right. They are entitled to their own opinion, and I'm not the one to judge. So moving on to the issue. Of course, all lives matter. In my mind, I didn't understand the movement at first myself, because I'm thinking, okay, well, all lives matter. We have to sit here and stop saying, okay, black and white and things like that, and seeing things in color. But then I actually had conversations with people and I started looking into it and saying, okay, I understand what they're talking about. They're not saying that all lives don't matter. Of course, white lives matter. Of course, Asian lives matter. Of course, Latino lives matter and Muslim lives matter. That's not the point. What they're saying is with the social injustices that have existed within this country, Black lives matter too. Okay, that's what is trying to be said here. Black lives matter as well. Okay, especially with the things that are going on against minorities in today's time. And if you don't believe me, look at a Trump rally. It's front and center on dang near every single media outlet that is out there on how minorities, particularly African Americans, are being treated unfairly and unequally, and they're being profiled to a certain degree. So I gave this person this analogy, and I said, look, saying that all lives matter is like showing up to a 5K breast cancer run, holding up a sign and screaming, cure all diseases. Of course we want to cure all diseases. We want to cure the Alzheimer's. We want to cure the AIDS. But we're not at a cure all diseases race. We're at a breast cancer 5K run. We're talking about breast cancer right now. We're talking about Black lives right now, because the things that are going on within this country, Black lives are not being treated equally. I see it all the time in my neighborhood, in my classroom. I see it front and center right there in front of me. And I don't understand how people can sit here and say about me that I'm trying to race bait and I'm trying to divide us when it actually couldn't be further from the truth. I believe in order to fix the problem, you have to address it. You have to acknowledge that the problem exists first and then move forward. You can't sit here and say that Black lives have always mattered, because the reality is, and historically, Black lives weren't even considered Black lives because they were considered property. They were considered things no different than a horse or a cow or a piece of furniture or anything else other than that. You can't sit here and deny that a problem exists. So in the conversation, even though I wasn't trying to convince the person, they understood what the movement was trying to say. And like I told them, I was like, you know what? I understand, because my heart is telling me, of course, all lives matter. Of course they do. But what we have to point out is the fact that Black lives have not been treated equally. They have not been treated fairly. The way that the system is set up is not, within education, within the criminal justice system, it is not set up equally. And people who tend to deny that are the people who existed under white privilege, just like me, for the longest time, because I didn't want to believe that things like that actually existed. But when I look around the world, of course they do. I can't deny what's sitting right there in front of me. So the person was like, you know what? Now I can understand. Yeah. Oh, you opened your eyes just like I did. And like I said, even though I wasn't trying to convince the person, at least they had that ability to sit back and learn and grow and say, okay, I might not agree with the movement, but at least I can understand where they're coming from now, right? It's crazy that this country has gone this way, but the racial tensions in this country will continue to increase so long as people try to deny it. I am not about dividing. I'm all about uniting. But in my opinion, in order to do that, we have to unite as a people. As I said before, Blacks, white, Latino, Asians, Muslims, all of us. We have to unite as a people in order to solve the problem. I want to work with the people that want to fix the problem. That's what I want to work with. That's who I want to work with. That's what I want to work towards. That's what I teach in my classroom. One love for everybody. One respect for everybody. Black lives matter too. Okay? Teach your life.